All right, young scholars, this is Mr. Martirone with your final writing assignment of the school year. That's right, we are writing a persuasive letter to the President of the United States. The essential question for this assignment is, how do you convince the President of the United States to support an issue you care about? All year long, we've been building up to an assignment like this. All year long, we've been working on developing your argument and persuasion skills using ethos, pathos, and logos, and supporting conclusions with direct evidence and examples. And you're going to put all that together in a persuasive letter to the President of the United States. This is an assignment I've ended the year with all of my students for the past 10 years, and it's something that I'm going to be continuing to do in the future. The President receives about 65,000 paper letters a week and about 100,000 to 200,000 emails, coupled with about 1,000 faxes and about 4,000 phone calls a day. Once you contact the President of the United States, your letters will be in the permanent archive of the country. And that's something that makes America unique, is that anyone can contact the President of the United States. Any citizen can write to their elected representatives. And you can see here are a couple famous examples from the archives. We have a letter from Fidel Castro at the age of 14 to his friend, Franklin Roosevelt. And as we know, Fidel Castro would go on to become the dictator of Cuba. We have a letter from 1939 from Albert Einstein talking about the dangers and perils of fascism in the West and atomic energy. We also have a letter at the turn of the century from Upton Sinclair to Theodore Roosevelt about poor living conditions during the Industrial Revolution. Roosevelt would use this to become one of the great progressive presidents to clean up cities. And we also have a letter from teenage girls written to Dwight D. Eisenhower when Elvis Presley was drafted in the military. So any citizen can write to the president, and that letter will become part of the permanent archive, much like your letters will. In addition to being part of the federal archives, I also keep a copy of your letter in the permanent Egg Harbor Township archives. I have every letter that every student has ever written from 2009 all the way up to 2019, and your letters are going to be included in that archive. And on occasion, students do receive a response from the Office of the President. If any of you have seen in the classroom, we have a response from President Obama in 2011. And in 2012, one of my students received a personal response to their letter. And in 2017, a couple of years ago, President Trump wrote back and responded to letters that my students wrote during his first year in office. So you will have the opportunity to write to the president, and he will have the opportunity to write back to you. Once you are done writing your letter, you're going to put it in the mail it, and it's going to arrive at the White House, and it's going to be sent to the Office of Presidential Correspondents. And from there, members of the president's staff, interns, and other policy experts will sift through your letters, and they begin to take a look at what the people are saying and they're writing about, and they begin to find patterns in what people have to say. And any White House or congressional office takes constituent mail very seriously. So don't think that, I'm going to write a letter to the president, I'm going to write a letter to my congressman, I'm going to write a letter to the governor, and it's just going to get thrown out. I can tell you firsthand, as someone who worked in one of these offices, they take it very seriously and they give every letter equal consideration. So once your letter is sorted by issue, then it goes to various offices within the White House, within the congressional office, and policy experts who handle your particular issue will review that letter and begin to craft a response. If your letter stands out, there is a chance that it can move up the chain of command and end up in the hands of the President of the United States. And every President of the United States wants to stay in touch with the American people. President Trump uses Twitter to engage and interact with the American public. President Clinton routinely held town halls at the White House. For President Obama, he selected or asked that 10 letters be selected from the White House mailroom and be sent to him each day. These letters will be put in the president's daily briefing book. And all a briefing book is it's a fancy way of saying it's the president's binder that has all of his things that he's going to need throughout the day. Sometimes it has classified intelligence in it. Sometimes it has other memos that he's going to need for meetings that he's attending. But every day, as part of his routine, the 10 letters that were selected from the White House mailroom were put into the president's binder, and he carried that around with him. He read them throughout the day, and then, as the story goes, at night he would go up to the residence, read the letters again, and he would craft a reply, and then the following day he would have them sent out in the mail back to the American people. But that was a way for the president to stay in touch with what was happening in the country. So your task will be to write a persuasive letter to the President of the United States. To help you get started, I'm recommending you use half-inch margins from the top. Your font size should be 11 or 12. Font size should be Times New Roman, Bookwa Antigua, or Garmin. Your letter will be one page, no more, no less. You want to start by putting the date, which will be the date of submission, June 15th, 2020, at the center of the letter, and then you want to address the president. And in this case, it is President Donald J. Trump, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., 20500. It's the official address of the White House. You'll skip a line, and then you'll say, "Dear Mr. President." Now, your introductory paragraph, the first paragraph, you should be able to answer very quickly, very concisely, who you are, what you are writing about, and why this topic is important to you. You don't need to start with the generic, "Hi, my name is, and I'm a freshman." You don't want to do that. Rather, you do want to introduce yourself, and you want to introduce the topic that you're writing about. This is important. You want to pick a topic that is of importance to you. And then you want to explain why this topic is important to you. The more personal this first paragraph is, the better. That's what will make your letter stand out. And this is really where you can use the pathos argument in our debates. This is where you can connect with the president and with whoever is reading your letter on an emotional level. And once you connect and hook someone emotionally, the rest, presenting a logical argument and an ethical argument, should be quite easy. And that's going to be the job of your second paragraph. In the second paragraph, you should be able to explain your issue or topic to the president. You should be able to explain why this issue is important for the country. So in the first paragraph, you explain why it's important to you. But now you need to explain why this issue is important to the country. And that's going to be your logos. And then you must include 3 sources. And this is going to be a challenge for some of you guys. You can use a news source. You can use things like CNN, Fox, ABC, NBC, Wall Street Journal, New York Times, Washington Post. But you need to verify that and follow it up with 2 academic sources. And those can include things like The Lancet, which is a British journal, the American Medical Association, the AMJ, any publications from major colleges or universities like Johns Hopkins. Those are all credible publications. Now remember, earlier this year, we worked on how to verify information with lateral reading versus vertical reading. You want to be able to laterally read and fact check all your information to make sure that what you're putting in your letter is going to be the most accurate information you can find. Now recognize all your information is going to have a bias because your letter has a bias, because you have an opinion. So you are finding information that will support your point of view, but you also want to make sure it is the best and most accurate information that you're putting in your letter. All right, doing this step properly, having at least 3 sources to back up your information, 3 credible, verifiable pieces of information, will prove the ethos part of your argument. The fact that you're making an ethical argument because multiple sources have confirmed what you're saying. And if you're struggling with how to find credible information, check out the Media Center's databases and the Atlanta County Library. Through things like EBSCOhost, they have access to thousands of online journals. Everything in there is considered a legitimate, factual, academic, credible news source. You can't go wrong. I know many of you guys will be tempted to get things off the internet, and that's all well and good, but remember, anything that you're getting off the internet is going to need to be fact-checked and verified. Where things from the Media Center, there is a greater level of scrutiny that comes with things like EBSCOhost, where colleges and universities are using those materials. Paragraph 3 is where the persuasiveness of your letter comes to life. In paragraph 3, you need to identify a legislative solution for the President of the United States to implement as a remedy to your problem. What is a legislative solution? Well, a legislative solution is something that is currently in Congress. Remember, what's the job of the president? The president signs bills into law and enforces those laws. So you have to find a bill that's currently in Congress that you think the president should support, which will advance your cause because it's what's best for the country. The example I'm giving you is that you all know I'm passionate about civics education. Currently, there's a bill in the United States Senate. It's Senate Bill 313. It was introduced earlier this year. This bill would amend the American History and Civics Education Program under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act of 1965 and require the inclusion of programs to educate students about the histories and principles of the United States Constitution and the Bill of Rights. That's an example of a sentence that I would use to include in my letter to persuade the president that this bill, or supporting this bill, would be beneficial to the country. My recommendation is to use the website govtrack.us. From there, you can type in any topic or search by legislative issue, and you can see what is currently going on in Congress. Just about every issue is covered by some congressman or senator, so chances are your issue or topic will be represented. You can also see what bills are currently moving before the United States House of Representatives and the United States Senate. Once you have your topic or you have found a bill that you think is a remedy to your problem, you can do a deep dive on this. So this is Senate Bill 2024. It's the USA Civics Act of 2019. Beneath that, you can see a summary of the bill. You can also see the bill's sponsors or the author of the bill. You can actually read the text of the bill itself, the actual legal language of it, and you can also see where the bill is at in the current legislative process. All this information is going to be important for you to understand as you begin to persuade the president that he should support this measure in Congress. Once you've identified a problem in your first paragraph, you've explained why it's important nationally in your second paragraph, and then you proposed a remedy to the problem in your third paragraph, the fourth paragraph is quite easy. The fourth paragraph is very short. It's a simple recap. You're thanking the president for taking the time to read your letter. You may follow it up with one last tidbit of information that you feel is important. End your letter, sign it sincerely, comma, leave a couple spaces where you will, in blue or black ink, sign your name in cursive, and then beneath that you will print or type, obviously, your name, your street address, Egg Harbor Township, New Jersey, 08234. So let's take a look at an actual example. Here's a letter from 2018. Notice that the student has correctly put the date in, June 20th, 2018. They've done the correct address, President Donald J. Trump, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C. Dear Mr. President. Notice in green the first couple sentences of the letter clearly and concisely state what this person is writing about. And in this example letter, the person is writing to President Trump about gun control. Notice how about half of the first paragraph highlighted in gray, this person is writing about why gun control is important to them and what it means to them and what stricter gun laws mean to them. They're allowed to use personal pronouns, as you are, and you want to make this first paragraph as personal as possible. So it's really important for you to pick a topic that you are interested in and means something to you, because that passion is going to come through in that first paragraph. So make sure you pick something that's important to you and you really explain your topic and why it's important to you and why the president should be paying attention to this. The last sentence of the first paragraph offers a solution, and it's a little teaser to what's going to come later on in your letter, where they write the only way for this problem to be solved is for new legislation to be passed. And obviously we're going to see a little bit more about that in the fourth paragraph of the letter. Now, the second paragraph is where you build an ethical argument as to why this issue should be addressed. So remember, you're going to have three sources. You can have one news source and two academic sources. So in this paragraph, in the very first sentence, this person has used some sort of evidence, although they have not cited it, they have not told us where they got their evidence from, and that's a bit of a problem. They said in 2018 there were over 26,000 gun deaths and injuries in the United States. We're assuming it's the United States. Again, if you're going to use any piece of information, you have to tell the audience where you got it from, using phrases like according to or research shows. Okay, you gotta, it's not like a DBQ where you use the parenthetical citation. You have to tell your audience where you got this from. All right, the two pieces of evidence that you can see, this person has used Moms Demand Action. That was an organization formed after the Sandy Hook elementary school shooting. And there is, it looks like the Guilford Law Center in Minnesota. And there, this person used two pieces of evidence that talk about how it is easy for teens and mentally ill people to obtain a gun. What's highlighted in the green is this person presenting an argument. They're saying state laws prevent people under 21 from consuming alcohol. However, a 14-year-old can purchase a gun legally. And they're trying to make the argument that, well, you know, if you have to be so old to purchase alcohol, which could have devastating and deadly effects, you should be a little bit older before purchasing a handgun in this regard. You know, there are obviously some flaws in that logic, and this isn't a perfect paragraph, but I want you guys to see that the body paragraph, that the second body paragraph of your letter, you need to provide three pieces of information and support your claim. So if you're writing about gun control or climate change, or maybe you are advocating for tougher border security and you're advocating for the development of a border wall, well, yeah, you need three pieces of information to back up and legitimize what you're saying. All right, so make sure you have those sources, and that's going to be really important. That's what we're going to be looking for in that middle paragraph is, do you have the three pieces of information that was laid out in the rubric? Okay, so your final paragraph is where you introduce your legislative remedy. By this point, you've done a little bit of research. You found a bill that is in Congress that you want the president to get behind and you want the president to support. So in your fourth paragraph, you want to say, Mr. President, I want you to sponsor, or I want you to support Senate Bill this or House Bill this because it does X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C, 1, 2, and 3. List all the reasons why the president should support this bill, why it's going to be good for him, and why it's going to be good for you, and why it's going to be good for the country. Now, in the example that you see on your screen, this letter, the person who wrote this letter, they fell a little bit short. You know, they just said introducing a law that would require more intense background checks. Sure, that's a great idea, but what we're working on is a specific targeted piece of legislation, a specific goal that you want to accomplish. This is, you know, a very generic goal, and that's something we've been working on, is getting you guys to hone in the specificity of a goal or project. So don't forget, if you want to score points in this third paragraph, you really need to find a specific legislative agenda or bill that you want the president to support. And then you wrap it up. After you've told him what bill you want him to support, after you've given the reasons for supporting it, you very simply wrap it up. You can say, you know, this is your job as President of the United States to execute the laws. This is good for the country, and I hope that you will support it. You can then add, you know, a fifth paragraph / sentence where you're thanking the president for taking the time to read your letter. Sincerely, comma, leave a couple spaces, sign your name in blue or black ink, type your name down below, and put your address and an email address, if applicable, for the president and his staff to reach up to you. And at that point, you have now completed your assignment, and your letter is ready to be mailed to the President of the United States.